Let's take a look at an example of how the TLB works. And if you've seen caches, you'll remember that this looks an awful lot like a cache. So here's our setup here. We've got our virtual address, we've got a page offset and a virtual page number. We're going to use our TLB, which is going to have a tag and a physical page number, to translate the virtual page into a physical page and give us our physical address. So let's go ahead and get started. Here's a virtual address that comes in. We look at the page offset. The page offset is just going to go right through. And we have a virtual page number. The virtual page number is going to be translated. So the page offset just gets passed through. The virtual page number is going to go into the TLB, and well, there's nothing in our TLB yet. So it's not in here, so we missed in the TLB. Now we need to go look up in our page table in order to get it. So we're going to have to go load from main memory to get our page table, and here's our page table, and it's in main memory. Now remember, the page table has to stay in main memory all the time, or we'll never be able to access anything. So we've got this in main memory so we can access it. Now we go ahead, we look up in our page table here. We want to find virtual page 3. So here's our page table. We're going to go down and look at page 3 in our page table. Here's the physical address or the physical page number we need. So we go ahead, we fill this into our TLB. So it's page 6, physical page, and our tag is 3 because we're looking virtual page 3 maps to physical page 6. Now we've loaded this into our TLB, and now we can go ahead and do our translation. So here we get our physical address. Now, here comes another one. So here's our virtual address 0003208. So again, we've got a page offset and a virtual page number. Page offset goes straight through. The virtual page number is going to go look up in the TLB. This time we're going to have a hit in the TLB because we actually have an entry for this. So we'll get the translation immediately. This is the best case. We found our virtual page in the TLB, and we immediately got a physical translation. Here's an example of missing. So we go to access this virtual address here. Now, the page offset's fine. Here's our virtual page number. Page offset goes straight through. The virtual page number goes to look in the cache. Well, sorry, not in the cache, the TLB, which is a page table cache. We look in here, it's not in here, so we're going to go over to memory and load this. We go to our page table in memory. We're looking virtual page 5, so we're going to walk 5 entries into our page table. Here's our translation. We take the translation, move it into our TLB, set the tag correctly so we know which virtual page this refers to, and now we can do our translation. So here's an example. We have a hit in the TLB. So we're going to go ahead and access this address here. When we run this address through the TLB, we find, hey, the data's in here. Great. So we've got our data. Now let's see what happens with this address. So here's a virtual address 4200. So our page offset's 200 and our page number is 4. So the page offset goes right through, and the virtual page number is going to go look in the TLB, but we don't find it in the TLB. And our TLB is full. So we're going to have to figure out which one of these entries to kick out. So in this case, we're going to kick out the one that we used least recently. Remember, we just used this entry, so we'll kick out this entry here. Now we go over the page table. We find our page table. We're looking for virtual page number 4. So we walk down to virtual page number 4. Here's our translation. We bring our translation over, we install it, and we go ahead and use it in order to do our translation. Here's another one. So what's going to happen when I do this? So here's an address 0000860. What's going to happen when we do this translation? Well, in this case, we're going to have a TLB miss, because if you look up here, we don't have virtual page number 0 in our TLB, and then we're going to have to evict one of these things. And then when we go to load it, look over here, our first page in our page table says the data's on disk. So we're going to have to go to disk. So let's walk through this. Here's our page offset, it goes straight through. Here's our virtual page number. We look in our TLB. Yeah, it's not in the TLB. Okay, fine. So we're going to evict one of these. So we go ahead and evict it. And we're going to go to memory to load it from memory. So we go to our page table. We're looking at virtual page 0. So that's going to be the first page in our page table. We find it here. We load it in. And hey, it says it's on disk. So now when we try and do our translation, we get a page fault. And we have to wait a really, really long time to get the data from disk.